Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day you are joining us for the Tulsa World Scene podcast. I'm here with my lovely and talented colleague, Mr. Jimmie Tramel, to talk about things that are coming up on the cultural front, both high and low. Of course, the big thing this weekend is Mayfest, which opens Friday, May 12th and runs through May 14th downtown. This is the 50th anniversary of Mayfest, although not the 50th anniversary of it being called Mayfest. Do you remember what it was called when it originated back in 1973, Mr. Tramel?
I'm going to guess it was not April Fest
It was not April Fest. It did take place in May.
or Oktoberfest even.
It was not that either. No fest was involved. It was called Jubilee 73. It was a one-day thing. It was on the Civic Center Plaza, that space. It's now a road and an entrance into parking garages, but it used to be a plaza between the library downtown and the courthouse. And it was put on by the Junior League of Tulsa to mark the 75th anniversary of Tulsa being a city or a town or incorporated. The big act that night was at the Assembly Center, and it was Sammy Davis Jr.
How cool.
So
I'm going to say the branding from Jubilee to Mayfest was a good piece of branding.
It took them a while to get there. It was about 1978 when they finally changed it over to Mayfest. And it's been that ever since. And it's had various entities overseeing it. This is not only the 50th anniversary, it's also the first year that the University of Tulsa has run Mayfest. And they took it over literally 100 days before it was to open. So this is a 3-day multimedia food, art, and music festival that has been put together in 100 days. So it's going to be interesting to see what all is going to happen. But they have already set up the galleries for the invitational gallery and the kids gallery, and streets are being closed off, and will soon the smell of funnel cakes and corn dogs will be everywhere. So are you a regular patron of Mayfest?
I want to say my all-time Mayfest memory, I'm almost positive this was a Mayfest event, is that I have an irregular passion for the music of Eddie Money. And I believe Eddie Money performed at Mayfest.
Yes, he did.
Downtown. And so I saw him there, and seeing him outside was great. It was probably late 80s, early 90s, but it was good stuff. And I wouldn't say I'm a loyal Mayfest person, but I'm definitely a go have a corn dog person.
Oh yeah, you can't go to Mayfest and not get a corn dog. In my it's just sort of, that's why festivals exist. And it would, when we were both working downtown at Mayfest, was rather unavoidable because it was set up right outside the main employee entrance for the Tulsa World newspaper, and so you kind of had to go through Mayfest just to get to work. So, but now we'll have to make a special thing, a special trip, and fortunately there are free shuttles to the site, which is in the Tulsa Arts District. I believe they start from the parking lot of the Reynolds Center on the University of Tulsa campus at 11th and Harvard, and also at the TCC Metro campus, 9th and Boston. So Friday through Saturday, and naturally the forecast calls for rain from now and again. So the whole experience is going to be there. Let's see. Now, also because it is May, I believe the Cannes Film Festival is about to start up, or will very soon. And one of the films to be shown there is, of course, Killers of the Flower Moon, based on the book by David Gran. And you have if not Flower Moon themed, at least a movie themed story coming out for us.
Yep. Yeah, because Flower Moon was shot in Oklahoma, I just kind of took a deep dive into what else has been filmed in Oklahoma as far as motion pictures. And Oklahoma has been, at least in parts of thousands of movies. And many of these are questionable whether you can prove it or not. So Sammy Hagar couldn't drive 55, but I picked 55 movies that were shot in Oklahoma. And we'll have these 55 movies in the Sunday Tulsa World. And some I knew about in advance, some I was kind of surprised, like I had no idea about this one.
Is 55 all the ones that you could find, or did you select that number for a specific reason?
55 was the number I felt good about. I mean, I could have gone to 1,000 if I needed to, but at some point you run out of research and you have to go bake the bread. So that's what I did. Probably it'd have been better if I'd have cut it off at 50. We just find 5 to eliminate. But sometimes the weird numbers just kind of change of pace. So we went with 55, some really significant actors and directors have come to Oklahoma to make movies.
Well, I know that there were scenes in Rain Man that were shot in Oklahoma with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. I don't know that it was necessarily set in Oklahoma. That part was set in Oklahoma, but they ended up shooting here for whatever reason. Now, and I know that there have been films that have Tulsa and Oklahoma in the name that I don't think came anywhere near Oklahoma. I know I remember reading about the premiere of the film Tulsa, which was in the late 40s, 1948, 49, I think. Yeah. Having its premiere here in a big hullabaloo and parades down Main Street and all that. But was that film one of the ones filmed in Oklahoma, or did they just
included it? I included it because Tulsa is in the title, and Tulsa appears a little bit in the movie, but mostly it was filmed in California or elsewhere. And if they needed exterior shots that were supposed to be Tulsa, they went to Sulphur, Oklahoma for that. So go figure.
Okay, well, at least some of it was shot in Oklahoma. That was always a good thing. Another one that had the name that I don't know that it. Again, I don't think it was filmed here, but I could be wrong. Was Oklahoma Crude with George C. Scott and I think Faye Dunaway, and I think it was about the early oil days. Did you come across that one in your research?
Well, I may have to go to 56 now. Thanks a lot.
Well, that's because it probably wasn't shot here. It was based on a book. I had the name. Mark Norman, I believe, was the name of the man who wrote the original novel on which it was based. So
here's one people include on a list of Oklahoma films, but I can't find evidence that it happened. Before Catherine Bigelow became an Oscar winner, she filmed a vampire movie called Near Dark. And supposedly it was filmed in Oklahoma, but from what I gather, it might have been filmed somewhere else, and they had a big storm in Oklahoma right before filming. So they said, maybe not Oklahoma, let's go somewhere else. So possible it was filmed here, but again, can't confirm. Another one is, I think it was called The Frighteners, a movie with Michael J. Fox, shot almost exclusively in New Zealand and maybe a little bit in Tulsa, but I just can't confirm the Tulsa part of it.
Okay. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, that was a Philip Jackson. Is that one of, he was the director of that?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Here's a really interesting one I thought. I think early 70s, someone decided to cast James Taylor, the music artist, soft rock music artist, singer-songwriter, great artist, and the Beach Boys drummer in a movie about a cross-country car race called Two-Lane Blacktop. It disappeared from theaters immediately, but it's become a cult film over the years. And Warren Oates is the rival driver in this cross-country race adventure. And it's not one of those movies that was filmed exclusively in Oklahoma, but they did pass through Oklahoma. And in fact, one of the characters' names, I should think of the actor's name because he's a famous actor. His character was Oklahoma Hitchhiker. But that's one I'd never heard of until diving into research.
Okay. You mentioned a lot of well-known actors that have been in movies that have been shot partly in Oklahoma. What was the one that surprised you the most, or that you had not had any idea about, that this very well-known person actually shot a movie in Tulsa or in Oklahoma?
Yeah. Well, I have to go back and look at my own list. Isn't that sad?
Okay.
But obviously, The Outsiders cast they put all those young actors onto a road to stardom. And then August Osage County, where there were huge names in August Osage County. Rain Man had Cruz and Hoffman. Twister had Paxton and Helen Hunt, and now they're making Twisters, plural. Here's an oddball one. John Wayne's son, Patrick Wayne, was in a direct-to-video movie filmed in Tulsa. One of those slasher things from the 1980s.
Oh my, yeah. Well, and then our former colleague John Woolley would be upset with us if we were remiss in pointing out that I believe the first movie filmed directly for home video, the home video market, was made in Tulsa, and it was
Blood Cult.
Blood Cult, an unfortunately cheesy film, slasher film, but it was a bit of history.
Well, the Patrick Wayne movie I just mentioned is the sequel to that movie.
Okay, all right. Was it Christopher Lewis was the producer and director, I think. Anyway, well, speaking of John Woolley, and this probably was a source of your research. John has published a book, which I believe OU Press published, called "Shot in Oklahoma."
Yep.
That details a lot of all of this. And after you've read Mr. Tramel's, entertaining and informative article on Sunday, then on Monday you can head to your local bookseller and make sure that they get a copy of that for you.
Yeah.
So
great guy, great writer, John.
That is true. Saw him on TV just the other night on his Film Noir Theater on RSU Channel 35, the PBS station out of Claremore. Always good to see him out and about. Speaking of out and about, we traveled down to Broken Arrow to try out a new restaurant. We had heard about a place that specializes in deep dish pizza in Broken Arrow, and we got there and were told that it was going to be like a 90-minute wait. We weren't going to be that patient, so we thought, well, let's find something else. And we kind of stumbled across this place. It's called Old World Pizza. It's in the Vandiver Acres Center at 101st and Elm, or 161st Street, depending on how you delineate your streets. It's a family-owned, family-run pizza joint, brick oven pizza. It is very good. If you live in Broken Arrow, it's worth going to. If you don't live in Broken Arrow, I'd say it's worth a trip. Excellent crust, homemade sauce, toppings aren't too overly generous, but they're of good quality. You really taste everything that's on the pizza, which is kind of what you want. Most things you just get generic pizza flavor. This you get everything, and it's really worth checking out. And we have that in a review of that in Wednesday's Tulsa World, available at fine newsstands everywhere and online at tulsaworld.com. Well, that kind of wraps up what we've got going for this week. Want to thank you for the privilege of spending time with you, and we will gladly see you later.
Yep. Behave.